Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Elizabeth, and today's practice is for those times when you might be feeling a little bit anxious, maybe slightly panicky or fearful. Those times in our lives where we just need to bring everything down a little bit, reset ourselves. So we're going to start today's practice in a seated position. Any position that you can sit comfortably in for about 5 minutes or so. So if cross-legged isn't for you, then just come onto the knees or even sit on a chair for the beginning part of this practice. And when you have found your comfortable seat, we're going to just rest the palms face up on our knees. Lift our shoulders up to the ears, give them a big old squeeze, and then drop them down again. And if it feels okay for you, just close the eyes. As always, we start our practice with some breathing, focusing on our breath. And today we are going to spend a little bit longer than usual on this particular aspect of our class. When we feel anxious, we sometimes want to turn in on ourselves and curl up. And there will be an aspect of this in this class, reflecting, nurturing, but also I find that when I get anxious, having a strong practice or a few strong moves helps you feel a little bit stronger in your mind as well. So the majority of this practice will be very gentle, and even the stronger aspects of the class won't tax you too much, but they will give you a little bit of much needed mental strength and clarity. So if our eyes are still closed and our palms are facing up on our knees, we're going to bring our awareness and our focus onto our breath. If we just give our fingers a little bit of a wiggle, maybe clenching our hands into a fist and then stretching the fingers out. Just doing that a couple of times. Sometimes when you don't even realize it, when you're feeling tense or anxious, you tend to clench your hands. And then this starts a chain reaction by bringing tension into the arms, all the way up into the shoulders, into the neck. And before you know it, you are just holding yourself in a very tight way. So just clenching and unclenching the hands, releasing the fingers, brings a little bit of softness into the body. Letting those fingers curl naturally in towards the palm. And bringing your attention to your breathing, to the very tip of your nose, so that you are aware of the breath as you draw it in, feeling that belly expand on the inhale, and release it through the nose on the exhale. We're going to incorporate our fingers into our breathing pattern now. And as we inhale, we're going to touch each finger with the tip of our thumb for a count of 4. So as we breathe in, the thumb touches the forefinger, middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky. And then as we exhale, we just return the way we traveled, starting at the small finger, working our way back to the forefinger. And then just repeating this movement. So we inhale, and with each count, we touch one of our fingers. And as we exhale, we repeat this movement. This method of breathing slowly and controlled, and then touching each finger with each breath, just helps us relax the body a little bit, bring some much needed stillness into our possibly anxious, overthinking minds. And this is something that can be done either in a yoga practice or at any time in the day when you are feeling a little uptight, confused, and you just need some space and some clarity, both in your head and in your heart. So traveling up and down our fingertips a few times, bringing some stillness and calm into our thoughts, into our breath. And we can keep our eyes closed, or you can begin to just flutter your eyelids open. And again, drawing the shoulders up to the ears, rolling them back and down as we take a nice deep inhale and a long exhale. Bringing both hands behind our head now to the nape of the neck or the base of the skull. And if we interlace our fingers, draw our elbows in close towards the ears and just let the chin drop to the chest. Let the weight of the hands and the arms draw the head down, stretching down through the back of the neck here, maybe even curling into the spine, tucking yourself into a little ball. And inhale, drawing yourself back into your seated position. Stretching the sides of the neck now, so we've done through the back of the neck. And if we take our left hand and just drop it over towards the right hand side of the head, extending the right arm out, and again using the weight of the hand and the arm to gently relax on the side of the head, drawing it down, feeling this stretch down through the side of the neck. And if it feels too much, just bring that hand back onto your knee, so we don't have to keep it all the way out to the side. Coming back to center and repeating that on the opposite side. So taking that left hand, that right hand even, over onto the left hand side of your head, extending the left arm out and finding that stretch. Bringing yourself back up to center, and we're going to come over onto all fours. Stacking our knees underneath our hips, our wrists underneath the shoulders, and just working our way through some cat-cows, lifting the tailbone, dropping the belly, drawing the shoulders back and down, and breathing out, starting again from the tailbone, lifting the spine towards the ceiling as we tuck the chin to the chest. Slow, controlled movements and just keeping it in time with our breathing. We can even take a moment in either one of these postures, say for example in our cat pose, and just give the hips a little sway from side to side, lifting the spine a little higher. And then as we reverse into our cow pose, take a moment to really draw the shoulders back and down, shining our heart forward here. Just taking one more inhale. And on our exhale, tucking the toes underneath us and just pushing the bottom back towards the heels. A variation of our child's pose. Breathing in, coming forward again into our cow. Shining the heart forward, and exhale, taking it back once more into child's pose, this time keeping the feet untucked, maybe even walking the hands and the arms forward a little bit as the head rests towards the floor. Staying here for a couple of breaths and just letting your belly feel soft, resting on the top of your thighs. Let your body sink into the floor in your child's pose. And when you're ready, bring yourself back up onto all fours. So finding that neutral spine position, as I said at the top of the class, it's quite nice to have a little bit of strength, a few stronger poses, even when you're feeling anxious and you just want to curl in on yourself. It's quite nice to bring a little bit of energy. So we're going to tuck our toes, lift the hips up, just hover the knees a few inches off the mat, squeezing the belly in before lifting the hips up and backwards into your downward facing dog. Let the head feel heavy. Push the hands into the earth. Try and keep a little bit of distance from the shoulders and the ears. Pedaling out the feet here. Maybe even giving the head a little bit of a shake, as though you're saying no. Maybe nodding it as though you're saying yes, just to release any tension out of the neck here. And from our downward facing dog, walking your feet into the position that works for you, we're going to bring ourselves forward into a plank. Hopefully keeping our shoulders over our wrists, keeping some control through our core and remembering to breathe. From our plank position, taking the knees to the earth, keeping the toes tucked as we send the bottom back towards the heel in child's pose. Bringing ourselves forward, onto the knees, lifting ourselves through plank into downward facing dog. So we're just going to repeat that sequence a couple of times. Slow, steady movements with control, with the breath. We come forward into plank. We drop to the knees. We take the bottom back towards the heel. Coming forward, all fours, through plank, into downward facing dog. Let's just do that 2 more times. Smooth movements, almost as though you are moving through water. Calm, controlled, concise, into that child's pose. Coming forward, through plank, into downward facing dog. Remember, you can have a rest at any time. You can stay in child's pose if you wish. Last time, through plank, onto the knees, into child's pose, back through all fours, through plank, into our downward facing dog. Excellent. Hopefully feeling a little bit stronger, a little bit calmer through the mind here. We're going to take our right leg and just lift it up towards the ceiling, bending the knee into the nose, a little bit of a squeeze here before dropping the foot between the hands. Now find your foundations. We're going to turn on our left foot, lift ourselves up and come into our warrior 2. So shift the old feet around into a position where you are feeling strong and stable. Shuffle the shoulders down. Deep breath in, long breath out. Feel your feet really pushing down into the earth and then feeling the rest of your body lift, find some lightness through the torso up to the crown of the head. So we have these opposite actions going on. The strength through the legs, the feet, the lightness through the chest, up through the head here. Can we hold it for 1 more breath? Let's reverse our warrior now. So we take the left hand down, reach the right arm up and behind us. And then as we exhale, sweeping through warrior 2, the left arm reaches overhead, lightly relaxing that right arm on the thigh if we can. Turning the gaze back towards the floor, we'll drop the hands either side of that right foot. Step it back into our downward facing dog. Now these are the only standing postures that we are doing. We're going to lift the left leg up now, bend that knee, squeeze it into the nose, dropping the foot between the hands. And again, just dancing the feet around, finding your strong foundation before we open out into our warrior 2. And the same thing on this side. Holding warrior 2 for about 3 to 5 breaths. Noticing how the body feels from the soles of the feet, rising up through the strong legs, space through the chest, lightness all the way up to the crown of the head. And again, let's stay here for 1 more breath. We reverse our warrior. Traveling back through warrior 2, all the way over into our extended side angle, before turning to face our left foot, taking our hands down either side of the foot as we step it back into our downward facing dog. Dropping onto the knees, shifting the bottom towards the heels. We're going to touch the toes together Take the knees a little bit wider in our child's pose. Just bring ourselves down. Maybe even bringing the hands behind the head into our prayer mudra, relaxing our body in this child's pose and taking as many breaths as you want to, just to come back to a more gentle way of breathing. That heart rate is lifted slightly. And then in your own time, bringing yourself up to a seated position. Drop down onto one hip or the other as we swing our legs in front of us, finding our Dandasana, our seated staff pose. So we've had our little energetic postures. We're now bringing it down to the floor. Just returning to that more nurturing phase of our class, tucking in on yourself, a little bit of self-care, a bit of self-love. So we're going to bring our right foot into the inside of our left leg, just folding forward over that left leg. Just turning the hips square to the top of the mat, the shoulders the same direction, and just keeping the hands down. We're going to keep everything quite low level now for the rest of the class. The toes are facing up on that left foot. And as we push the sit bones down towards the earth, we grow a couple of inches. That's a bit excessive, isn't it? We grow a couple of millimeters through the torso as we hinge from the hips and just walk the hands forward, just coming as far as your body wants you to extend today. So be very kind to yourself, be gentle. Don't do anything that is going to cause you any angst or discomfort or pain. It's lengthening down over that left leg. And slowly, when you're ready, walking the hands back in. Just going to swap those over, extending that right leg and bringing the left foot into the inside. Just squaring the hips and squaring the shoulders, rooting down through the sit bones, lengthening forward. Doing really well. We've had a little bit of a stronger flow just through the middle of this class. And now just returning to these forward folds, which are very calming, very relaxing, giving you the opportunity to really turn inwards, maybe even closing the eyes and just returning to your breath. And slowly walking yourself back up. Now I'm going to turn to face the long edge of my mat now. You can stay where you are, or you can also join me facing this long edge. And we're going to take both legs out wide in this posture. If we flex our feet, push those heels away, we can already feel a little bit of tension, tightening on the inside of these legs. If that feels too much, let your toes feel floppy. We don't really have to have them facing up if we don't want to. We can stay seated. This is actually, we are coming into a forward fold, but if you want to just stay here, if this is enough for you today, then we stay here. Otherwise, just drop your hands in front of you and again, find length through the torso. Slowly begin to walk your hands forward. Just come to a point that feels good for you. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Notice how it feels. How are you feeling today? Is it okay here? Do you need to come back up? Or maybe you might even be able to come a little bit further. Be guided by your breath. If you notice you're holding your breath in this pose, bring yourself up a little bit. Let's see if we can stay here for 3 long inhales and 3 long exhales. Slowly, carefully, bringing yourself back into your seated position. Maybe turning yourself back around on your mat, or you can stay facing that edge. As we bring the hands behind us and just drop the knees over to one side, over to the other side, before keeping those knees bent and lowering yourself down onto your back. So again, finding some comfortability in this posture, bringing your Heels in towards your bottom, turning your palms face down. Trying to shift those shoulders down the mat a little bit so we find some space between the shoulders and the ears. With the knees touching and the ankles touching, we're going to drop both legs over towards the right hand side. They might not touch the floor, but with each breath, you might find the effect of your breathing, your relaxation and gravity gently drops those knees down towards the earth. Inhale, draw the knees back to center. And as you exhale, take them over towards the left-hand side. Again, just noticing the difference between one side of the body and the other. Try and relax through the body, not grip the muscles. And then take the legs back to center. We're going to repeat that twist, either keeping the legs stacked or this time dropping your left knee over your right knee and then taking both legs towards the right hand side. It just deepens the twist, but if that causes any discomfort, then just uncross the legs and just repeat the twist that we did previously. Just staying there for a couple of breaths on the right hand side before bringing the legs up, uncrossing the legs, maybe crossing them the other way. Just see how it feels. If you get to a point and you go, no, this is not for me, uncross the legs and just stack knee on top of knee. Bring your legs back up to center, uncross, and then extending our legs on the mat, arms alongside the body, just finding some relaxation in Shavasana at the end of the class. Either with the legs long, or you can bend the knees and let one knee drop into the other if this feels better for you. And with the eyes closed and the focus on the breath, staying here for as long as you have time for today. And just know that anxiety and worry and fear affects everyone at some point in their life. But know that it passes, everything changes, nothing stays the same. So what you may feel one day may be completely different the next. So just try and ride through any emotions as though you are surfing the waves on the sea. You can stay lying down in your Shavasana, or you can come up and find a seated position to finish your class if you wish. Either lying down or seated, bringing your hands to your heart and taking them to your forehead. Bringing them all the way back down to your heart and giving yourself a little bow of thanks for making it onto your mat. Thank you for joining me on the mat today, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Remember that if you enjoyed this practice, to press the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone that you think may find it helpful. Namaste.